Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Backstage. We got the one and only Mike Spring. We got Ali joining in to have some fun with us tonight. You hear the super dog Kara barking because she's so happy. Anyway, without further ado, let's hit that intro and let's get going. The Angry Geek Show is coming to you live right now.
Start building some hurting bombs.
Pressing me? Because your authority is not recognized in Fort Kickass.
Oh, look, Doc, I just can't do it. I'll never learn to speak Greek.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I don't need no philosophy lesson here.
And I think that the spotlight should go on top of me. Yeah.
Master of misinformation, Mr. Know-It-All.
Is he always so cheerful?
See, you told everyone your deepest, darkest secret.
Gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the universe.
Just looking, thanks. I'll stand at the bar. I shouldn't wish to attract attention.
Don't get mentally erect. It's a...
Well, neither are you very mature.
This is the way.
I think it's good, except it sucks.
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
That's an attention getter.
The tower of power, too sweet to be sour. I'm funky like a monkey. Sky's the limit and space is the place.
Are you ready?
Hey everybody, without further ado, let's bring in Ali Mucker. Ali, wake up. Ali, stop. What are you doing? Are you sharing? Nothing? Pay attention. Well, I want you to introduce our guest.
Our guest is
Mike Spring. Hey, Mike, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing very well.
Back.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank you.
back.
I'm very excited to be back. My third appearance. I feel like that's, third time's the charm, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, every time you come on, you have success with your Kickstarter. I mean,
That's
you
right.
are already 100 backers on this current one, or over 100 right now.
Over 100,
I
yep.
last checked.
Mhm. Yep.
Yes. And no, I love having you here. It's great. I mean, the book is awesome. Tell us a little bit about this Kickstarter right now before we get into a lot
Sure
of things.
thing.
And yes,
I'm very excited to talk about it. So this is the Kickstarter for the 120-page graphic novel collection of my comic, Red, White, and Broke. It's my superhero comedy, and it's about a superhero who can't pay the bills because every time he flies off to save the world, he gets fired. And so he launches a Kickstarter campaign to crowdfund his superheroics. And then that's when the bad guys show up and things get really crazy. And so I completed the 4-issue miniseries through Kickstarter, funded all 4 issues through Kickstarter. And now we're putting it all together into a 120-page trade paperback. It's going to have all 4 issues. It's going to have over 20 pages of bonus materials. Every variant cover we did, there was like 14 variant covers, pinups, got some big name artists in there like Russ Brown, who's the artist of The Boys. We got a pinup from Gene Ha, Livio Raimondelli, like some really well-known comic artists. And it's the whole story in one shot with a bunch of extras. And I'm super excited for it.
what made you want to do this? I mean, you had the book. We had you on trying to get the miniseries out, but what made you want to put it all together into one?
I think when I go to conventions, which I do a lot, I go to conventions, set up my table, try and introduce the book to people and stuff like that. I sell them in sets, the whole 4-issue set for people, because that way they get the whole story. But it's a lot. harder when it's individual issues. They're all in a bag, and like it's tough to get them all where everybody can flip through it and see it. And so I really wanted to get it into when you're trying to get people to try out something new, that's not Marvel or DC, and they're taking a chance on you and giving you their money. It's the best way to do it is to put something in their hands, let them flip through it, see the quality of the book, feel the weight of the paper, because my books are all printed on super premium paper with thick covers and all that. And I just wanted to be able to have one thing that I could sell people and say, like, this is it. This is the whole kit and caboodle. Here's the whole story. That's all you need. You can read this and just enjoy it. So really, I wanted to be able to introduce it to new readers and then bring it with me to the conventions and just kind of have that one magic item that's like, here it is. This is the thing, All
right. Speaking of new readers, let's travel back in time. Let's go back to the first time you were on the Angry Geek show with Jamie and I.
Yep.
Let's talk about the premise of the book. Why is it Red, White, and Broke? Let's tell about the main character. Let's tell them exactly how you came up with the idea, why you came up with the idea, and the premise of the story.
Sure
I know it. Ali knows it. Diehard fans of Angry Geeks don't, but those who are now just watching the Angry Geeks, they don't know. So let's tell them.
Happy to tell you. So the main character of the book is named Captain Stronghold. He's very much your archetypal, like, Superman / Captain America, kind of clean cut, good guy. But the problem is he's not a billionaire, right? Like Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne. And so that was really the idea for the comic. It's like, what happens when you get superpowers, but you're just some like guy who works at Office Max for like 9 to 5, and you fly off, save the world, and you're gone for 3 hours and you don't tell them why. Well, in the real world, that's going to get you fired, and I've always been fascinated by where fiction and the real world intersect, and what I like to take like fictional premises and kind of dissect how would this work for real, in the real world. And it's like, well, he'd get fired and then he'd be out of a job and he had no money, and then he'd take another job and he'd get fired again. Like, if you don't have a job that caters to disappearing for hours on end, it can be really hard to keep a job. So I wanted to explore that, and I wanted to have fun with it, So we look at a lot of things like, where does he keep his cell phone and his costume when he's flying around? Like, what does he eat? Like, who makes the costumes? How does he interact with his fans? And so I got the idea of him doing a Kickstarter, because I like to use Kickstarter for comics, and it made sense that at some point some superhero is going to need some crowdfunding. And so he launches it. He sells things like personal appearances and autographed rubble, from demolished buildings when he has a supervillain fight. He cleans it all up, but then he sells pieces of autographed rubble. It's all just so he can pay his bills. He's not trying to become a millionaire.
Kick Godzilla's tail. Here's a scale.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I do one question, and I don't think I asked you this before, and it just popped into my head. Where did you come up with the jobs that the central character takes?
I really just honestly kind of dug into, like, my past, my friends, things like that. Kind of, what are the types of jobs that kind of quote unquote normal people have, right? Like I said, like in the comics, it's all, Peter Parker's a freelance photographer. I don't know about you guys. Freelance anything doesn't pay all that much. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't pay the bills for a lot of people. So, there's a joke in there about, like, he even did a stint at telemarketing. That's the one job he quit, because telemarketers are the real supervillains, so it's like, it's things like that, just sort of like those, those real jobs that people have in the real world, working at a gas station, working at an office, working at Staples, those types of things, just normal, everyday 9 to 5 jobs.
I mean, Ali, you have a question?
No, actually more like a comment. Like, I know he would do birthday parties also.
Yep. Yeah,
so I can only imagine how that worked out.
That's one of the perks. I think it was at like the $500,000 level of his Kickstarter, where basically he would come to your kid's birthday party, like lift up a table full of kids, sign some autographs, take some pictures, and then fly off.
I would see that as like a super villain's like dream come true. Like, I'm gonna really ruin this party.
Yeah, admittedly, that would be bad for business. I think if a supervillain crashed a kid's birthday party, he probably wouldn't get a lot of repeat business. But
it's like, hey guy, I know where he's gonna be at
right
at 10 o'clock. We're going to a little Pete's birthday party. Bring your birthday.
Right. Well, hopefully the supervillains are nice enough to have some limits. You know what I mean?
with the success of the miniseries, how many artists actually came up to you and said, "Hey, I want to be involved in the reprint, if you would, and put it all together. Let me draw something." How many actually reached out to you?
A couple reached out to me. That was nice to hear that they had, people I met at conventions and stuff like that. I had a few people who were like, "Hey, if you're doing this, like I would love to draw a pinup or, do a cover or something like that." I reached out to a few myself who had been involved with some of the previous books, and a couple people I just got lucky with, like Gene Ha, who's a very popular artist. I met him at Baltimore. I asked him if he'd do a sketch for me. Actually, I asked him if he was doing sketches at all. I was just wanted to buy a sketch from him, and he was like, "No, I'm not doing sketches." And we got to talking about my book, and he actually drew a sketch of Captain Stronghold, and he even brought it over to my table and everything, and he was kind enough to let me put it in the book. So how are you going to turn that down? Gene Ha is great, and he's a super nice guy. So some of them a lot of it just comes from connections that you make at the cons and stuff like that. But I did have a few people reach out to me, so that's always very exciting.
And Mike, can we talk about the importance of that hustle of work at the cons? Like, you want to talk about some of the cons you've been to, just promote this book or any other ideas that you have worked for aspiring writers and artists?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you can overstate how important the con hustle really is. I mean, for two levels. So one, you got to get your book out there, and look, I have my comics on my website and stuff, and I can probably count on one hand the number of times I've gotten sales from just people randomly finding the website. The convention is the way to get in front of people, to talk to them, to show them your book, to tell them what makes it special, and to meet the fans, which is a lot of fun, and to just talk to people and get them excited about your idea. That's a part of it. The other part of it, for me, is the networking part of it. I found my cover artist for issue 4. I'm going to show it to you because I love it. I met at a con in New Hampshire last year, and I was really having a hard time finding an artist who could turn the book around quickly enough for me. And what he did was this homage cover to the Hulk King Size Annual #1, the old Jim Steranko.
Yeah, I love that.
And it works so perfectly with the title of the book and everything. He just knocked it out of the park, and I would have never met him if I wasn't at that convention. I got talking to him just because his table is a few tables away from mine. And honestly, that show wasn't one of my best shows in terms of sales, but I met so many great people, and I made some really good connections. And I got I had met Todd DeZago, who used to write Amazing Spider-Man and writes Perhaps. I'd met him several times at cons, but that was the first show where I really got to spend a good amount of time talking to him and kind of becoming friends with him. And he gave me a really great quote about the book, because he read it, and he gave me an awesome quote that I can use now. I use in my Kickstarter. It's going on the book. Like, that's the kind of thing that you really don't get from just reaching out to people through Facebook or Twitter. It's not the same as when you can spend some good FaceTime with them. So I think cons are huge they're fun, first of all. I mean, that's most importantly, they're super fun. But you get to talk to the fans, and you can meet some people who can just really help you out and be a great resource for you. And I love it. I think it's fantastic.
All right, we got the link. Thanks, guys. They pulled up the link to the Kickstarter right there on your screen. You are currently at $3,449. Your goal is $5,500. You have 108 backers with 10 days to go. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your tiers and what you got going on, and what the risks the risk and challenges about this Kickstarter.
Sure, absolutely. So there's two main tiers. There's the main cover of the graphic novel, which, and you had that graphic up at the beginning of the show with me. The main cover is the one of Captain Stronghold sitting at the convention, which is a little meta where it's like him signing his book. There we go. That's actually a different one, but that's okay. So I don't have that one up right now, but the other cover, the one I'm more excited about, if you want to show that again real quick, I will show you. I'll tell you.
Sure. Guys.
The one on the left there is by Russ Brown, who's the artist of The Boys. That is an homage cover to Amazing Spider-Man #50, the Spider-Man No More. He pays homage to John Romita Sr., one of the greatest artists of all time. And what's really cool about that's the variant cover by Russ Brown, is every copy of that variant cover is going to be signed by Russ. Now, I know that's a big get. All my books come signed by me, but let's face it, no one's beaten down my door for my autograph just yet. Now I'm fully planning for that to happen, but not yet. But Russ, like, he drew like 50 issues of The Boys. He's drawn Batman. He's drawn Fables. He's doing Jimmy's Bastards right now with Garth Ennis. He's like Garth Ennis's partner in crime. And Garth is one of the biggest writers in comics. So Russ is going to sign every single copy of this variant cover for anybody who backs it. And then I also have some art prints of that cover and the other cover that was on the screen there. And they're all going to come signed by Russ as well. So if you're a fan of Russ Brown, you love The Boys, you love his comics, his artwork, every cover he does comes signed. And I'm pretty excited about that because it's easy to get people like me. There you go. There's the main cover on the left and the homage cover on the right. It's easy to get my autograph, but getting one of the real deal artists is a lot trickier. So those are the two main tiers. Like I said, you can add the art prints in for a couple bucks more. And I kept it.
Bring it down, guys. Yeah, all right, they're scrolling through. Okay,
yeah, there you go. That's the main cover, which is like kind of, it's he's trying to sell his book, and it's, as you can see there, it's on sale because it's not moving. So I like a little meta kind of, inside world there. Here's the cover. My graphic designer Dave Lentz just knocked it out of the park, making it look like the Amazing Spider-Man with the logo and the corner box and the lettering. But Russ, of course, nailed the artwork, looking just like that classic Amazing Spider-Man cover. There's a quote I got from Scott Lobdell, who's written every comic on the planet, wrote the Happy Death Day to You movie. So, that's the and there's Jim Shooter. If you guys know, I know who Jim Shooter is, but people watching, if you know Jim Shooter, he's a legend. He read my book and gave some nice words about it as well, which was very exciting. And then, like I said, you can add some prints. I didn't go with too many tiers this time because I wanted to keep it fairly simple. I only did the 2 covers. Here's some examples of some of the bonus pages. There's Gene Haas sketch for me. There's one by Drew Moss. I forgot to mention Drew. Who drew The Crow. He did Red Sonja Vampirella for Dynamite. He did my first alternate cover and some sketches. There's another sketch by Paul Pelletier, who's drawn every Marvel and DC book you can imagine. Ian Chase Nichols in Altered Reality.
Yes.
You guys know Ian, of course. He did one of my alternate covers for issue 1. This is his prelim work, so that's some of the bonus material. Some of that he did a bunch of prelims for me to kind of decide which direction.
Amazing job as always, Ian.
Oh yeah, and Ian's great. I love one of the nicest guys in comics, and he does great. He does great work. And so there we go. We got
great hair too. Great hair. Yeah.
I know he shouldn't be that nice and still have that good of hair. It makes me really upset. I'm not gonna lie. And then you go, and all of the main books come with a free digital copy as well if you prefer to read your books on your iPad or computer.
Okay.
You can get both covers if you want, the combo package, and then again you can add the art prints in. And then there are some one-of-a-kind art rewards too. There's a sketch by Paul Pelletier that I think is still available. Could be wrong. Might have been taken. I think there's a Drew Moss sketch still available. There was a Russ Brown sketch, but it got snagged like on day 1. Yeah. But there's some of those with some of the original drawings of Captain Stronghold from some of my guest artists. There's one from the regular series artist, Dennis Torona. So, and there's Ed Smith, who did that number 4 cover that I showed you earlier.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun stuff.
Right there. I mean, this stuff is just amazing. And this is a must for any collector. If you are a comic book collector and you love a good story, please just go out and get this. Here's some more Ian work right here.
Yep.
You can tell Ian's work immediately.
Yeah,
Ian's work, he has that particular style where it's just like, boom. Okay, guys, you can take that down. Thank you.
Yeah, he does.
Ian's style is just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, 10 days left.
Yes.
Is your heart racing?
A little bit. It's interesting. Kickstarter's had some problems over the past week and a half or 2 where they've had a lot of glitches, people not able to find campaigns, people not getting updates. And so the campaign is going a little slower than my normal ones do. I usually fund within the first week or so. All 4 previous campaigns funded very quickly. So, I'm not putting all the blame on Kickstarter, obviously, but a little. And I think we're going to make it because you do get a lot of pledges in at the end. You usually get a pretty big bump in the last 2 days. So I think
we'll hit 10 days, right?
Yeah, 10 days left.
Okay, so people might be waiting for payday.
Yeah, that happens. So I'm confident we'll make it. We haven't. I've funded 5 Kickstarters so far. I've never had one not succeed. So I have no reason to believe this one won't. But I wouldn't lie. I'd be happy if we had a few more pledges in earlier, just to kind of like the sweating could end. You know what I mean?
You would have one pledge from me, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Once we are done.
I appreciate that very much.
I'm just debating which one. It looked like you're gonna get. Well, I'm not gonna say which one.
That's right. I'd be surprised. I can understand. Well, and Ali, let me tell you, if I know it's going to you, I might possibly throw a little extra goodie or two in there for you, since you're good people. So
I do appreciate that, sir.
Okay, Aviva's coming in with a question. What is the ship date when funded?
That is an excellent question. I'm very happy to talk about it because it's a very quick turnaround. The campaign ends on July 21st. I am sending the print files to the printer on July 22nd. And it's usually about a month to get them printed and shipped to me, and then they're going in the mail. So the estimated delivery date is September, which is just 2 months after the campaign ends. I have no reason to believe that they won't be there in September. I've shipped every issue so far on time. This is a quick turnaround time because all of the books are done. The story's done. It's just collecting it into the trade. So, some Kickstarters, I just backed one. I back a lot of Kickstarters. I just backed one, and the estimated delivery date is June of next year. And I was like, I hate to wait that long. And I really work hard to try and turn all my books around quickly. So, when the campaign ends, you should have the book in your hands inside of 2 months, which if you're a Kickstarter backer, that's a pretty fast turnaround time for a Kickstarter book. So I'm very proud of my track record there. I've never shipped a book late yet.
Yeah, that's Aviva awesome. Says that she loves a quick
turnaround. I'm with you, Aviva.
Yes.
I really am, because I'm a super backer on Kickstarter. I won't tell you how many. It's embarrassing, but
I'm starting to get a habit of doing it. You'll be like the 4th backer.
Yeah.
The 4th person I have back now.
But when I see estimated delivery dates of like a year plus, it's a lot harder to get me to pledge on it because I just don't want to wait that long. I'm impatient,
And not to mention, you might also forget and lose the enthusiasm for you like this. Oh, what's this?
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
This last year.
Exactly.
Well, I've been told many times that if you're going to do a Kickstarter, make sure the book is done before you do anything. That way you can get it out to your fans. Yeah. A mutual friend, someone we just talked about, and I are working on something. Jamie and I are working on something. We're trying to get it off the ground, and he, says, no, we got to make sure everything is done.
Right.
And then we do the Kickstarter. So yeah, and it's rough.
Yeah.
It's super rough. And I totally agree. Make sure everything is done.
As much as you can have done.
Then go.
At least, a lot of creators do need the funds to pay for, parts of it, and that's fine. But I think that you got to have as much done as you can. With mine, I make sure all of the artwork is done. The pencils and inks are finished before I launch a Kickstarter. Then I use the funds that I get to pay for my colorer, my letterer, and the printing. But those are all fairly quick turnaround times. My colorer can do the book in less than a month. My letterer can do it usually in like a week. So it's like maybe 2 months between coloring, lettering, and printing. That's not bad. A couple months turnaround time is fine because we're independent creators. It takes us. I don't have the budget that Marvel and DC have. But when some people are like, yeah, we've got 3 pages drawn in this 50-page book, and we're going to finish them over the, it's like you might want to consider having a little more than that before you launch, because otherwise people are going to be waiting, and then they get angry, and it doesn't end well usually.
I hear.
No.
Now, go ahead, Lou.
No, I was just going to say, once again, that link to the Kickstarter is shown right up there on the screen. If the link is not clickable, just copy and paste it, put it in their browser, and go up there and support this Kickstarter.
If you guys simply just highlight it and then
paste it in that browser. But wait till after the show first. Please keep viewing.
Click it and you go down to it would send you right to it. Now, what I want to ask you, Mike, was you would talk about the penciler. Mm-hmm. So, do you pay the penciler out of pocket, or do you just make a deal with? I'm not sure how that
You know, most artists won't do like, unless there's somebody that you're friends with, they won't do like pay later type of, like, they want to get paid. And I understand that because it's a lot of work, you know? So I actually do, I pay my artist out of pocket, up front, you know, and honestly, how that started was because of COVID. You know, my initial plan when I first launched was to do like 5 pages fully finished to see if I could fund it for the very first issue, and then, you know, finish the rest of it. But then COVID hit right as I was about to launch. So I delayed it because I didn't feel right asking people for money when people were losing jobs and getting sick and all of that. So I had him keep working on the book. So by the time I launched it in October of 2020, the book was done. And when I launched it that way and it was very successful, I got over twice my goal and I was able to turn the book around really quickly. I was like, well, you know what? This is how I want to do it from now on. So I kind of have always been working ahead so that while I'm fulfilling those orders from the first one and I'm packaging up all those issue 1s, he was already drawing issue 2. You know, now luckily, like I said, I went over a goal. I had a little extra money put aside to help pay him a bit, but most of his costs come out of my pocket. You know, sometimes you gotta put some of your own money in first before you can expect other people to give you their money, you know? So I feel like that's sort of my mark of saying, like, yeah, I'm confident this book is good, you know, because I'm spending, you know, a couple grand out of my own pocket to get the artwork done. But then I know it's going to pay off when you guys get the book and you read it and you see how good the artwork is and how good the coloring is and the lettering and all of that stuff, you know. So yeah, I do have to fund some of it myself up front.
The best bet is on oneself, as they say. So
yeah.
The book, is it available in stores, or do people have to get it online, or where could the people get the book?
The single issues are available through my website, which is simply outoftimecomics.com. My publishing company is called Out of Time Comics, which looks something like that. That's how you spell it, Out of Time, like from Back to the Future, because I'm a big Back to the Future fan, and I also procrastinate a lot, so it seemed like a very fitting name for my publishing company. So outoftimecomics.com has them, and then of course you can order the stuff through Kickstarter. They're in a few local stores, but I have not yet gotten, you know, big distribution. That's a lot of work, and I just haven't had the time because I've been so busy putting the comic out and doing the Kickstarters and all of that. So it's in the works. Hopefully, I want to get it to that point. We're just not there yet.
All right, guys, can you? Oh, there you go. Boy, the boys are like quick. They are quick tonight. Look at that.
So that's
my God.
That's the homepage there. There's the store you can see where you can buy some of the individual issues. There's Ian's variant cover for number 1. And he was actually one of the very first people I reached out to when it came time to do that first issue.
Now this book right here, this was always my favorite cover.
Yeah, I was really happy with how that turned out. So Livio Raimondelli drew that. He's an artist who does a lot of Transformers work. So I knew I wanted to have him draw. That's one of my villains, Dr. Death Mask. And so we got the idea to do the Iron Man homage for Iron Man 128, the Demon in a Bottle story, which is one of my favorite stories of all time. So it was a beautiful, you know, mashup of his style and a great cover. And then, of course, like I said, Dave Lentz, who's my graphic designer, did an awesome job getting that Iron Man font on there, you know, to really send it home. So,
and this is Ali's favorite cover right here.
That's and that's Drew Moss, who, like I said, drew the Crow and Red Sonja Vampirella, and he really captured. You know, I really wanted it to be. I wanted the covers not to just be a superhero, you know, punching out a bad guy, because that's not really what the book is about. It has a lot of action in it, but it's really about the logistics of being a superhero in the real world. You know, how would it work? And so things like that, like washing your costumes, you know, looking at the want ads, stuff like that, I think really captures the flavor of it.
And Mike, is this everybody about the universe, building on universe and whatnot? Are you looking into that, or could we did prior?
That's a question for the second half of the show. That's what I was waiting for. I won't
answer yet. Then. I did see Aviva put a comment in. She said backed, and I want to just say thank you very much. Yes. Greatly appreciated. I know it's cliched, but I want people to know that I honestly, truly appreciate every single person who takes a chance on the book, because I know how it is. Look, I've been collecting comics for longer than a lot of collectors have been alive, and I know how it is to take that chance with your money, especially to spend like $20 or so and not know if it's good. So I very much appreciate anybody who takes a chance on it. Thank you very much.
All right, we got to take a 30-second break to pay the bills. And when we get back, we're going to talk more with Mr. Mike Spring from At a Time Comics and Red, White, and Broke. And then he can answer the question that Ali just asked him. And we'll be right back in 30 seconds or less. Square Collectibles. 39 Wedgewood Drive, Suite 232. Inside the Slater Mill Mall. Pokemon every Saturday mornings. Become a Pokemon Blaster. Magic the Gathering every Friday night. Comics, toys, vinyls, diecast, and more. Find your inner hero at CH Square Collectibles. Proud sponsor of the Angry Geeks show. That's a very 70-ish ad, isn't it? I'm thinking that.
Walking around with bell bottoms and afro.
I'm like super digging that ad, man. I love it. It's very 70-ish. You know, like it makes me want to go to Chris's store and just like wear like one of the Macho Man
really
outfits
make me want
with
to
the
come out of the
tie-dye.
corner and be like this. And now back for the Angry Geek Joe. You jive turkeys.
That's a soundbite, man. We definitely got to get a soundbite of that. All right, Mike, answer Ali's question, please. What's next?
Okay, so and as far as the shared universe thing does tie into what's next, it wasn't my intention originally to kind of create a shared universe. I don't have designs on doing like some 10-book epic crossover between all these different comics, but here's what is next. So after this Red, White, and Broke trade paperback, I'm working now on a superhero rom-com. It's a romantic comedy between a superheroine, like your Wonder Woman type, very strong, and an average guy, and it's kind of like a love story between them. So there you go. Now, so what happened?
It's not autobiography about you, Lou.
Yeah. So I got the idea for it while I was writing the 4th issue of Red, White, and Broke. So I have a scene in that issue where Captain Stronghold is talking about some other heroes. So what I did was I had my artist work her, the main character of the new book, into that panel. So this is Lady Olympus. She's going to be the main character of the next book that I write. Okay. So that was just kind of like a fun little Easter egg that I threw in. It's not meant to be like, big crossovers and this and that, but I was kind of like, well, if we're going to have other heroes in there anyway, why not have the one who's going to be in the next book? So it's kind of like a little cameo first appearance there. So if you're into the big collectible stuff, just saying, could be worth
Mike, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay.
Interrupt you, but I mean, this is what I like about your ideas. You thinking outside the box. This is going to lead into our conversation about some of the movies that you guys saw. And I like that. It's not just, you really are. I mean, you would think, as amazing as Superman is, and yes, he faster than a speeding bullet, but I mean, come on now. You will eventually, what the running gag with the Flash? He's always late. The only one that his job security is Batman. Why? He owned his business.
Yep.
It's like, I'll show up when I show up.
Yeah.
That's very true. So
to think about, what the guy with average jobs, that are just, they gotta pay for their weapons, their gadgets, and their back and their super caves and whatnot. You gotta have a 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
And the thing about 9 to 5 is you can't be. It's a 9 to 5. That it's not a 9 to 4. No, you gotta be to 5 o'clock. You can't say I gotta go and like your boss looking at you, but there's still 45 minutes left. I know I really gotta go. God forbid you show up late for your lunch break because you had to go to. On your lunch break, you had to go to some foreign island somewhere.
Right.
That took up your day and a half. So now you got to explain to your boss. You can only say you got food poisoning so long. But this is what I like about your idea. You're thinking outside the box. And this is what we need more of.
Yeah, thank you.
Bravo to you, Mike. On this.
I appreciate that. And that's exactly what it is. Like he talks about in the book is like, when you're stuck in a time vortex for a month, your water bill is not getting paid. Like that happens all this time where they're like, in like the original Secret Wars, they're off on another planet for like, a month and like that doesn't fly in the real world, So this is, and I think, it's something that comics really don't touch on very often. The classic Spider-Man comics, absolutely. He was always hurting for money. The Peter Parker was always poor. That was certainly an inspiration. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. A couple of comics here and there.
He lived at home. He lived with Aunt
right.
May, which is like, okay.
Yeah.
For a while. You then that saying something, because eventually, your landlord going be like evicted. Like this, like, your stuff outside, man.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, but I guess to that point, Ditko and Lee were very smart, going, okay, he's going to be a teenager, he's going to be broke, he's going to be an outcast, but he's going to be living at home with his aunt.
Yep.
So at least he'll have a roof over his head and food in his belly.
Right, because you don't want to be a homeless superhero. That's going to get depressing. Like, we're not trying to go there. You know what I mean? That would have been too much for kids.
Insert the Incredible Hulk theme song.
Yeah.
Right.
He's in the shoebox of the brain porn. He just saved the world from a meteor.
Love that theme song. That's great.
So, when does the next book? When are we going to be talking about that Kickstarter? When?
That's a good question. I right now I'm shooting for January, which I know seems far away, but I got to get this Kickstarter finished. I've got to finish the trades, get them out in the mail by September, and then it's kind of one of those things where you can only go so late in the year with a Kickstarter before you start to run up against the holidays. And if you're trying to compete with the holidays, you're going to lose. You know what I mean? People need their money for travel, for gifts and stuff like that. Yep. So I usually won't launch a Kickstarter later than September because I just don't want to fight against those. So I was looking at the timelines and I was trying to see if I could squeeze it in this year. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to push it back to January. I'm gonna start right after the new year. I'm working on a bunch of covers for this one because I think it can be a lot of fun. I have some really fun ideas for some homages and stuff, and I'm working on getting some big names. I can't comment on some of them yet because they're not confirmed. But Russ Brown is coming back. He's doing one for me.
Nice.
Marcus Robinson is doing one for me. He's the artist who did the Black Panther Party, real life graphic novel that came out a few months back. It's been a big seller. From one of the major publishers. He's doing one for me. And I'm working on a few other people that if and when I can land them, I'll let you guys know. So you can spread the word, but I can't say anything yet because I haven't confirmed them. But I've reached out to a few big name people and I haven't gotten no's yet. So it's just a matter of logistics and working.
Now, once you're done with this book coming out, are you going to go back to Red, White, and Broke, or is this like we'll go? Or are you going to say, okay, well, that was a nice story to tell. I'm now moving on to the next character.
So that's a good question. I think my plan right now is to do this other book at the moment because it's burning a hole in my brain. And I've learned as a writer, the way I work best is to sort of look at all my ideas. And the one that starts to keep me up at night, that's the one I have to write. And that's how I've always written my best material. So this rom-com is the one that's currently it has to get onto paper. But I have a second story arc already mapped out for Red, White, and Broke. And so that's planned to be my next project after this rom-com is to come back and do a sequel to Red, White, and Broke because I do know where I want to go with it, and I think I have a really funny and interesting storyline that will still kind of keep the sort of story of the first one where he still isn't, still having some issues. I don't want to give anything away about how this story goes, but we'll just say that he's got a few things to deal with still in the second series. So,
will Stronghold show up in the new story?
I think so. I think I'm going to throw a little cameo in just to kind of trade cameos with Lady Olympus. I have an idea for how I can work him in for maybe.
I hope he shows up during one of her dates, her blind date. Is it start picking off her plate? Because he broke and he like this, yeah, man. I just came back and I just fought like a world dictator and are you gonna eat that? Are you gonna eat that?
You might not be far off, Ali. You might not be too far off actually. So
if you are welcome to have the idea, you have
thank you.
Already.
I appreciate that. You might not be too far off. So yeah, that's my plan. Is I just have him show up just as a fun gag for people who have read, Red, White, and Broke, and then pick that one up. It'll be kind of fun. I'm not I'm not trying to create a super huge crossover between 37 books. I feel like that's been done and it's not really what I'm interested in, but I like the idea of little cameos here and there, little in jokes, stuff like that.
And do you think the universal theme is becoming a little, I don't know, out of date now? I mean, or just, I don't even want to say out of date. They're kind of when you're hearing people people are now saying that, hey, wouldn't it be great? We have Fast and Furious with the Transformers. Like, okay, I think we're going to
right. Yeah. I think it's a little bit overdone. I do think so, and I think it's sometimes it's a little premature. I do see some people like, launching new comics, and they're like, this is part, the first book in a 10, book series of shared universes, and I'm like, maybe just put out the first book first and see how that goes before you plan out the entire, universe saga. I mean, that's just me. That's my take. You do you, but that's I'm doing one book at a time, and I do agree. It's been a little bit done. I think if the idea is good and you can make it work, like Marvel does, like some of those companies, like great, and if you're interested in it, terrific. But I don't think everything needs to be in a shared universe.
Agreed.
All right. One last time, there is the link to the Kickstarter right there in the bottom of your screen. Please go ahead, click on that, and pledge today to get this 120-page graphic novel of
that is
Red,
a nice
White,
read
and
to
Broke
go on a road trip. You're at work like I am doing nothing. Did I say that?
It's a good beach read.
Well, I'm not doing nothing. I have a lot of free time. I could at least open that book up and read some.
Yeah. And before we get to our next segment, Ali, hold on one second. Aviva wants to know, Mike, what shows are you doing this year?
I do have some coming up, actually. I'm going to be doing Terrificon in Connecticut. So that's,
okay.
Always a great show. That's at the end of this month. I'm going to be doing Granite Con in New Hampshire in September. I will be at New York Comic Con, but not as I don't have a table. I'll be wandering around New York Comic Con. And then in my local area, I'll be doing the Saratoga Comic Con in November. So those are the books I have on the book, so to speak. Now, those are the shows I have on the book right now, and we'll see if any others pop up.
Now, you're going to be in New York. You say you're not going to have a table, but if they come up to you, we have like a sample or something?
Yeah, I mean, that's self-promoter 101, right? I always have a couple of sets of Red, White, and Broke in my backpack, just in case, just in case I get in front of Joe Quesada or somebody like that, or, Sylvester Stallone or somebody might want to make it into a movie or something. I always have a set in my backpack.
We got a superhero movie coming out on
the Samaritan. That's right. We're going to take another 30-second break for another sponsor. We're going to be right back with Question of the Week. And this is a good one.
BST presents Mega Clash, August 20th from the Rafola Center in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Watch newly crowned Monarch champion Evie De La Rosa defend her title against Vina Von Star. A rivalry reignited in the main event. Lucas Chase challenges Dustin Waller in a ladder match for the BST Championship. It all comes to a head one final time.
And Alternate Universe LLC and the Angry Geeks and Faces and Heels podcast will all be at that show.
Can I be the jerk that didn't grab the ladder to say I need to change a light bulb right quick?
And can I be that guy? Hello. I'll be right back. Yeah, we will all be there. Anyway, this week's Question of the Week is brought to you by Alternate Universe LLC. And this question came through the website, and it is, what would Lewis be wanted for? And how much would the reward be? What would Lewis be wanted for? I suppose that's a crime. And how much would the reward be? Mike, you're the guest. You answer that question first.
I got it figured out. I think you would be wanted for robbing a stagecoach, but it would be a stagecoach carrying wrestling action figures, like a big shipment of them. And that's what you'd be wanted for. And the reward would be like a super rare, like Hulk Hogan prototype figure. Because I figure your fellow collectors, they would be all about you, and then until they saw that reward, and then they turn on you and turn you in. So I feel like that's a really good kind of reward to get the people who would know to turn you in.
Okay, Ali.
The first appearance by He-Man in the Superman comic book.
Well, what would I be? What's the crime?
You'd be stealing it. Someone will tell you. I can see some multi-billion-dollar man be like this. Hey, whatever you do not touch that comic. And all of a sudden he'll turn away, and then Lou will be out. You get a car drive, and the award will probably be an autographed copy of the 40th anniversary of Master of the Universe, signed by Dolph Lundgren and the rest of the cast.
All right.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people don't like that movie, but I will be the one to rat him out.
All right, any of our listeners. All right, now it's time for any of our listeners and viewers, if they can come through with a comment. What would Lewis be wanted for, and how much would the reward be? Tell us in our comments really quick down the bottom. And Axel says that he wants to go. Yeah, if you want to go, brother, you are more than welcome. You're a part of the Angry Geeks. You run the cameras and the security. Yes, for sure.
The ladder gag. I'm going to grab the ladder. Like, I'll be back. I got you in the light bulb. It's really important.
Thor, Love and Thunder hit the theaters this past Friday. Ali, you did not come with us to see it. Mike, you said you saw it. What is your thoughts? Spoiler free, please.
No spoilers. Yep.
The cutscenes, 2 cutscenes at the end.
Thor has a hammer.
And it hit me up after the show, and Thor was awesome, Axel says. Thank you very much, brother. Your thoughts first on the cutscenes. What did you think?
So how do I talk about the extra scenes without any spoilers? I loved the first one. I thought it was great. I thought the casting of whoever might be in that scene was great, because I'm a big fan of
I don't even know who the dude is. I know the character, but I know the character, but I don't. Well, this is the thing. I know the character. Everybody knows the character. The theater I was in went ballistic. But as for the actor...
Okay. Well, here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say without giving any real spoilers then. Okay. If you're a fan of Ted Lasso, then that scene would be very exciting for you. Now, I'm a huge fan of Ted Lasso. I think it's one of the greatest shows of all time. So I'm guessing your audience had a lot of Ted Lasso fans on it. Now, that's a big cast, so I'm not giving anything away. But if you're a Ted Lasso fan, you're probably going to want to see Thor: Love and Thunder and check out that first scene.
Well, I'm thinking I was in there with a lot of comic book fans. I mean, there was a lot of people wearing their colors, so we all knew who this character was because the costume was, I mean, right out of the comics. I mean, all the way down to the weapon, and it was just everyone just went ballistic. I went ballistic. My boys went ballistic. It was just amazing to see this character on the big screen, but I was like, who the hell is the actor? Plain and simple.
Took me a second to recognize him, but his voice is unmistakable. If you're a fan of Ted Lasso, you'll know that voice. The minute he said a word, you were like, "Oh, I know exactly who that is." So, I think knowing that guy and the character he plays and everything like that, I think he's gonna be perfect for the role, and I can't wait. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like freaking out. Second cutscene. How did you feel?
I got to remember what it was now. I'm blanking a little bit. Can you give me a one-word hint as to what it was? I'm blanking.
Check the private chat.
I would say it, but I don't want to ruin it.
There we go. Oh, yeah. You know what? I loved second cutscene, actually. Honestly, I really did. I thought it was really well done. I thought it paid good tribute to all the characters that were involved in it.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. I liked it quite a bit. Yes, thank you for the reminder. I don't know why I blanked on that, but actually it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Okay. So overall, the movie, how did you feel?
Overall, I liked it. I wish I could say I loved it. I felt like it got better as it went along. I thought the beginning, like the first half hour or so, I felt like they were trying a little too hard with the comedy. And I'm someone who loves Thor Ragnarok, so I love the comedy aspect of it. I felt like they were just trying a little too hard, and the jokes weren't quite landing for me. But then once it kind of settled down a little bit and settled down sort of in terms of trying, because the action got bigger and bigger, then I started to really enjoy it. And I think it's one of those ones that I'll like a little bit more on second viewing. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I don't have anything bad to say, but I just think they tried a little too hard early on.
I thought gore was extremely creepy.
Yeah,
especially when it came to the children.
Mm-hmm.
That one scene with the children, that weirded me out. That was the creepiest thing ever. Christian Bale absolutely nailed it. I thought it was fantastic. The humor I thought it was fantastic. I am a huge fan of Ragnarok. It is my favorite Thor movie out of all of them.
Absolutely.
This one is pretty much, I'm going to say, a close second to favorite. I thought it was great. The Stormbreaker scenes were hilarious.
Yes, those were very funny.
And Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder, I wish they actually said the goats' names.
Right.
That was Aviva's coming in saying that they loved it. The being Aviva and her husband Mark, huge Angry Geek supporters. I just wish that they said the goats' names. I just wish the Guardians were in it just a little bit more.
Yeah.
I wanted the Guardians just a little bit more.
I think with the goats, I'll say this. There's this kind of adage in comedy that, like, if you repeat a joke enough times, it goes from being funny to not being funny anymore, to then it actually circles back around to being funny again if you do it enough times. And that's kind of how I felt with the goats, where I was like, at first I was like, that's very funny. And then it was like, okay, this is getting old. And then they stuck to it enough that by the end I was like, okay, that's funny again. Like in the last couple times, I thought it worked beautifully. So, but yeah, I was waiting for them to say the names too. I thought that kind of was,
Yeah, they never did. And I was like, why aren't they saying the goat's name? Because he should have named them. Because he named them in the comics. Why not name them here? What was the biggest surprise for you without giving it away?
That's a tough one to say. Let me think. Without spoiling things, I would say the fate of a couple of the characters was, where they went with some of the characters was a little bit surprising for me, with a couple of people in particular, but nothing, just I thought they took some things in interesting directions that I wasn't entirely expecting. So I thought that was fun. I like that.
Funniest line in the movie?
Oh man.
You say you can't spoil it.
No, this is not spoiling it. I
here's what
laughed.
Here's what I'll say. I don't have a specific line, but the banter between Thor and Jane when they were sort of talking about their relationship and kind of whose fault it was and how things went wrong and stuff like that, I really enjoyed those scenes.
Okay, my funniest line is, "You're not invited to the orgy." And how did that character, who is supposed to be Greek, sound Italian? Totally baffled me.
What baffled me is how parents going to explain that word to their kids.
I did think that when I was watching it with my 15-year-old daughter. I was like, well, I don't have to explain it to her, but I was like, okay, awesome. But
because he says it like 6 times, and that was like the most important. In first, where is this year? Like, oh my god,
they really doubled down on the orgy jokes.
Yes,
biggest
and Aviva comes in
number of orgy jokes.
I know, and Aviva says it's PG-13. Yes, I know, but it's the character's outfit.
Know how many 9-year-olds that went out to their phone like, "Hey Siri."
Said character's outfit. What did you think?
I thought it was great because I liked that they were playing with the conventions of that character. I think there's a very traditional depiction of that character that we've seen time and time again. So I like that they kind of went and sort of, touched on some of the tropes, but then also mixed it up a little bit. And, when he comes down the stairs, you know what I'm talking about. Like that was great.
I thought it was very funny. And I also liked the part with the disguises. I thought, nope. I thought it was great. I would definitely give it, I'm going to say 3 3/4 Angry Geek shields right there.
All right. Would you like to see the same director come back again? Because that been like the kind of talk. Though you guys are praising it, there have been a lot of divisive say about the film. Like they're a little tired of the jokes kind of weighing down on the movie a lot. Like they felt a bit. I have not seen this movie yet, and one of the reasons why I'm just a little tired of it right now. But one of the things they talk about is the movie should have took more scenes, some more serious approach over the humor. And I wonder do you guys feel that it might be time for a new director after this, or would you like to see Taika Waititi keep going?
I would like to see I would like to see him come back. I enjoyed the film. I mean, I really did.
I will say this about Taika. There have been more of appreciation of Thor once he did Ragnarok. You used to hear a lot of people say that at like Dark World, everybody like, oh, Thor kind of boring. You know, he kind of yawned and like no one really. And then Taika said, well, we're going to do a 180 spin on him and make him, you know, like the hangout guy. Like one of the things I used to enjoy about Thor was the little skits that he do on YouTube when he had like a roommate. I wish they would.
Well, did you catch that, Mike?
What's that?
The skits with the roommate.
I've seen some of them on YouTube. Was there a tie-in in the movie that I missed?
The roommate was in it.
Oh, I don't know that. Oh yeah, wait a minute. Yeah. Was he?
Yeah.
I think I might have missed that. I'll have to watch it.
Yeah. The roommate was
all right.
In. I don't want to say what part, but the roommate was there, and Aviva comes in, and Aviva says that's the tone in all the Avengers movies. When it gets serious, it's a little bit of humor added in. And that's correct. I mean, like I was saying, Gore was creepy, man. I mean, especially when dealing with the kids, and what he did was very creepy. And Thor trying to get the kids to say, okay, guys, hey, Uncle Thor is here. You know, it was like trying to get them not to be freaked out. So that humor had to be there. If you really think about it, if you're in a bad situation, you're going to add humor in to lighten the situation. So I think it was well done. It was really well done. And what happened with Mjolnir, I thought that was fantastic. With her flying apart, it was. I loved it. Like I said, 3 3/4 Angry Geeks shields for me. Mike, what do you rate it?
Is that out of 4? I assume.
Out of 5.
Out of 5. Okay. I'm gonna say, I'll say 3.5. I think.
Okay, 3.5.
I did really like it, except like I said, I think to the beginning it just tried a little too hard. But other than that, I did really like it. I do like the humor. I think the Dark World Thor 2 proved that Thor can actually be a kind of a boring character if you let him be, and I think the humor adds a lot to it. So I really like it. I just just that first half hour kind of was like, we'll get there. But then it was great. So 3.5 is what I'm going to say.
Okay. All right, 3.5.
Shields.
I'll try to check out this weekend.
All right, Mike, we are running to the top of the hour, and we took up more than enough of your time. We're going to pull up the Kickstarter link one more time. Please tell everyone one last time where they can find you online throughout the internet and pimp that Kickstarter one last time.
So, Out of Time Comics, that's my handle. It's outotimecomics.com, but also pretty much every major social media you can find me. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, they're all Out of Time Comics. So that's the one to look for there. And the Kickstarter is running now. There's 10 days left. Here's what I'll say about it. If you like fun comics, that's what I strive for. Our company's motto is where fun comes first. I read them. I don't want to write them. I don't love the grim and the gritty and the super dark and the super intense and the serious stuff. My books have a lot of humor, a lot of action. They're a fun read. You'll smile all the way through it, I think, and that's really what I strive for. So if you want to read a comic and just kind of relax and have fun with it, I really think Red, White, and Broke is something that you'll enjoy.
All right, Ali, where can people find you? Get some artwork from you, my friend.
You can find me, I believe next week is the 23rd. I will be at the Springfield Comic-Con. Or not. And also, you can find me at Noenso at Instagram, or you go to my new YouTube channel. I know I only got one video up, but as soon as stuff get done, I will start posting more on it. And you also see me hiding underneath my bed sheets as Louis look at me very disappointedly. But in my defense, I'm just a guest, people. I won the OGs, but I'm just a guest here. I'm just a guest.
I'm Louis Perry. You can find me each and every week with that Wonder Woman, Jamie Dolan, right here on the Angry Geek Show and on Pod TV. I'll see you guys next week. You have been watching the Angry Geek Show on Pod TV. Visit our website today. And for guest bookings, email us at theangrygeekshow@gmail.com today.